We are always reinventing ourselves. We always have to go back to the drawing board. It's always a case of metamorphosis. Hi guys, it is an I for R and I'm back with a video. In this video, I want to talk about how I use the 7 steps of wellness, the 7 dimensions of wellness to reinvent myself and to go on my glow up journey, which I am currently on right now. And I wrote it down. I normally keep a module to how to follow through with the steps, which is something that helps me stay accountable and actually something to always come back and take a look at. It's pretty much the same every time I go on a process of reinventing myself. I feel like we are always reinventing ourselves. We always have to go back to the drawing board. It's always a case of metamorphosis because life is a cycle and you go through many different cycles, seasons. So that's just life in general. Step 1 is always going to be spiritual. Step 2 is physical. Step 3 is environmental. Step 4 is intellectual. And step 5 is emotional. Step 6 is financial. Step 7 is occupational. I actually think I did 9, but it ties into the same thing. Step 8 for me on the list is social, and step 9 is community. Now for me, this is in order, but for you, that may differ. You can use a different type of order when it comes to the steps to reinvent yourself. However, this is what works for me. This is what's important to me. I will say, find what you prioritize most and put it first on your list. But you always want to make sure your list is organized when you are actually determining your list. And for me, it's always going to be spiritual because everything goes back to the root cause of everything. And before anything manifests into physical form to affect us or in any other scenario, it always starts spiritual. And so that's top of the line for me. The next step outside of spiritual is physical because our body is a vessel and we use it to make the revenue. We use it to interact in our environment. We use it for so many different things. And so it's important to make sure the physical is upkept, or the upkeep of the physical is in good health and good standing, because if it isn't, then nothing else matters. Step 3 is always going to be your environment. Your environment shapes who you are. It shapes how you feel, and it also shapes your mentality and outlook on life. If you're not in the right environment, it can affect so many other things. And environment is also tied to your lifestyle. So you want to check the environment. Step 4 is your intellect, which is, some people consider that to tie into spiritual and physical. That is why I said it's really 7 steps of wellness. If you actually look up, the wheel is right here for how the actual steps of wellness is, what the actual 7 steps of wellness is. So I have the wheel right here, but I separate it like this for me because it works better for me this way and it's more organized. And then after your intellect, which is your mental health, is you can focus on your emotional health, which is important because we can't just be ruled by emotions in a negative way because it will tarnish everything else. The next to me is always going to be financial. And before I get to the financial part, emotional also ties into relationships and how you connect with those relationships. So the financial abundance is so important. And I know money is something that people feel uncomfortable to talk about. And people have this idea that money don't bring you happiness, or money is the root of all evil, or the fact that everything isn't about money. Everything isn't, but a lot is. And we have to address that. You can't be woke and broke. I don't care how religious you are or spiritual you are. If you don't have direct connection to how to achieve a level of abundance, it will affect you other ways, because part of being wealthy and rich is in spirit, but it also shows up in physical. And I'm not saying to have every dollar in the world or be the richest person or the most wealthiest person, but a certain richness for yourself, a certain type of abundance, a connection with that. So the next thing is occupational. It is important to understand your direction when it comes to career And when it comes to your passions, whether you use your passions as your career and your passions are occupation. So occupation is important. And then the next one is social. To me, social is very last on the list for me. Even in terms of communicating with family members, it's very last. It's not really that important to me. It's just not. That is something that I'm willing to sacrifice for the other categories of my life. That's just me being introverted. But for you, other people, it may be different because a lot of people operate better in social settings and one hand washes the others and two hands are better than one. And then lastly is step 9, community, which community should have been step 8 for me because community is like family and social. So maybe I didn't think this through. Spiritual. Step 2 is physical. Step 3, environmental. Step 4, intellectual. Step 5, emotional. Step 6, financial. Step 7, occupational. 8, social. 9 is community. Spiritual could be whatever you deem it as, but the first thing I connect to is I meditate. That's how you connect spiritual first. Meditate every day. If you cannot sit in silence and you cannot sit with yourself, you are no use to yourself. You cannot meditate and sit with yourself and sit in silence and listen to your own thoughts without you surrendering to the darkness of your thoughts. Because we're going to have dark thoughts. We are yin and yang. That's life. We're both black, white, dark, light. That is life. So if you cannot do that, you need to get therapy. You need to speak to someone. Avoid the 7 steps of wellness altogether. The next step outside of meditating every day should be going to pray. Understand what you are praying for and who you are praying to. You're going to journal. Some people don't say journal work. The power of journaling is top tier. Outside of journaling and spiritual, whether you connect to religion or you're just strictly spiritual, or however you want to phrase it or call it, you need to have you a ritual. If you don't want to use a ritual, you find a routine. Whether you are religious or you use religion, spiritual, and use spirituality. You find you a ritual that you stick to, that you dedicate to spiritually, and then you find you a routine that you address religiously. Whether that is one of the 3, whether it's church, whether it's addressing your ancestors, but you find one of these that works for you spiritually to address what you need to, because divinity is very important. Making sure you address your spiritual hygiene, your religious hygiene, whichever you resonate for you, but you address what's going on spiritual. You connect to something spiritually. Understand your faith and destiny spiritually. Spend time with God, universe, higher power, Allah, whoever, because I want to address everyone in my videos. Find you some type of divination and you need to connect to that. That is you participating in your spiritual practices. If you are one who likes to go to church, that is fine. If you are one who have a connection with your ancestors, that is fine. But find you a spiritual practice to practice, whether it's a ritual, routine, or regimen. Connect spiritually. Outside of these, your religious routine or your spiritual routine, this is important. And when you pray, also pray over your food. The next thing outside of praying over your food, day, night, before bed, when you rise, when you eat, when you rest. Journaling is very important. If you do not have a way of connecting, whether it's your routine, journal, script, whatever you need to do, but come back to it and read over it. Let it out. If you ain't gonna go to therapy, instead of talking to family and friends all the time, outside of journaling, meditate. That's number 1. I told you, if you can't meditate first and connect with yourself, then you have to seek some type of therapy or spiritual guidance. That's how you connect spiritual. And before anything, define your connection to spiritual, because we are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. If you do not resonate with some form of religion, or you don't resonate with some form of spirituality, you have to find what you connect to first. Find your interest in terms of spiritual. Watch different sermons. watch different motivational videos. I know for myself, go through every religion there is, every spiritual practice there is, and read about it and see which one you connect with the most. If you are atheist, this video really not for you. But if you atheist, I can't judge nobody. You can skip the spiritual step, I guess. If you ain't gonna take no advice from the spiritual step, you're gonna connect with, to me, if you just an NPC or a bot, then I would say connect with meditation. Worry about your thoughts. Just organize your mind and your thoughts, clear your thoughts. The physical is the next thing that we focus on. In physical, the things that matters the most with physical is going to be diet. Number one, you are what you eat. What you consume becomes you, and you become it. This is so sloppy. This is not how I write. I'm going to leave space because I'm going to go into diet a little bit more. The next thing outside of diet is going to be is exercise. Number 3 on the list outside of physical is going to be self-care. And this is strictly physical self-care. Self-care is on every list in terms of physical, intellect, emotional. That's important. But the first form of self-care for physical is different, because I want people to understand self-care means different things. The last thing on my list for number 4 is health. So what type of diet is important for you? Are you on a vegan diet? Are you a vegetarian? Are you a pescatarian? Is it omnivore? I'm not sure. Do you have that type of diet? Are you on a keto diet? Are you on an alkaline diet? Are you plant-based? What diet? Whether it's, for me, I have mine written down. I have a flexitarian diet. Once you determine your diet, meal plan, meal prep. People don't say this enough. If you have time, keep a food diary. You need to know what's going into your body, because you need to know how your body are reacting to certain foods and at certain times. Because the secret to how our body reacts lies in our diet. This is when you address an exercise, it's going to be body movement, yoga, stretching. What exercise works best for you? Whether it is yoga, just strictly stretching, which is definitely yoga, or just exercising, you need to have some type of body movement. You have to move your body. We are sitting with dead cells that needs to reset itself. We are sitting basically with dead fat. A lot of stuff just inside of us is dead. You have to move. You have to get it moving. Moving is a part of life. It's vibrant. You move stuff around. It keeps it flowing. Life is about flowing. You cannot sit stagnant. That is not the way life is supposed. So you have to have some form of body movement. Once you address what exercise works best for you, come up with a routine for your exercise, your niche. After you address what exercise works best for you, the next thing is self-care for Siobhan. It's important to address your hygiene and your appearance. I'm gonna write that there because that's just for me. But girl, your hygiene and your appearance is the forms of self-care. So for me, whether you go to the spa, skincare, just simply grooming yourself, that can be self-care. Whatever self-care, what is your form of physical self-care? Once you determine your form of physical self-care, guess what we gonna set up? A routine. If vanity day, I-T-Y. What's your vanity day? What day of the week are you gonna dedicate to your self-care? What day of the week? Fridays is ruled by Venus. For me, that's my vanity day. I choose that to be vanity, whether that be the day when you do a full body thing, the full shaving, hair, everything, whether you get waxes. But what is your form of physical self-care? Make a routine for it. Pick a day, even if it's the spa. Pick a month. I go to the spa. It used to be twice a month. Now it's once a month. If you could afford it. If you can't afford it, I got some tips for budget friendly. The last thing is going to be health. With health, it depends on what is best for physical health. You're always going to have to detox. You need to create a detox day, detox month, detox season. You need to find a form of detox, address your immune system, your doctor's appointments, and your vitality. The next thing that we're going to address is environmental. In your environment, you need it organized. You need structure. You need it clean to your level of clean. Outside of that, you need a safe space in your environment. You need it clean. You need a safe space like a man cave, a safe space or a woman cave. And definitely going to need some natural light. It's important to have natural light in your environment. That is important. You're going to have a clean car, your clean level of transportation operating you to these places. Even though my car is not clean at the moment, I need a detail. Even if you have to make time to clean it, you're going to create a routine for that. Water, safety. Is your environment safety, comfort? It's not going to always be that. Smells good. Clean air. That's so important, guys. And I didn't say clean car. We meant good car. It should be clean, though. In your environment, you want to make sure it's safe. If you don't feel safe in your space, everything else doesn't matter. When you do not have a home where you feel safe, and number two, comfortable, you cannot properly function to make the money. You cannot properly function to have emotional connections. You ever heard a house is not a home? Do you notice that when couples or married people are going through divorces, their children feel the energy of the shift and the difference, and when they are happy and it feels more, the home feels more like a home when they are connected and the environment is comfortable and it's safe and it's peaceful. Do you notice it's a difference? If your home is not safe, peaceful, or comfortable, the home is not a home. The house is not a home. The apartment is not a home. And that environment is not the healthiest for any lifestyle or point for you to thrive. Outside of a home, the other environments where you are in, it is important for it to have clean air that affects you. If the environment is not safe, then you're going to constantly be looking over your shoulder or walking on eggshells. And at the end of the day, even though you can walk, even though you can have it safe, you will still possibly have to watch over yourself. At some point, you want to always take precaution, but the chances of something less likely happening is so much better than having to walk into the crossfire, right? So your environment, you want to make sure it's safe, it's peaceful, and it's comfortable, and it has clean air. Natural light is so important because if you don't have sunlight, is the key to a lot of things. It affects your energy level and your mood. And again, that goes back to how you're going to perform. How are you going to perform physically? How are you going to perform intellectually? How are you going to perform emotionally, financially, occupational-wise, social-wise, and community-wise? If your work environment, an environment goes in different ways. It goes back to occupational, social. If you are not in a good environment, it sets the tone for so many different things outside of your mindset. You want to check your environment, check your surroundings, check the people that you're engaging with, the environments that you're going in. Do not, when you're participating in things like the club and deaf culture, you want to be very cautious with the environment that you are going into. Simple. Whether it's your work environment, you want to be very cautious. You got to have a safe space out of one of these. Whether it's work, whether it's home, or as they call it, your third place. And the third place is normally community. I don't care if it's a coffee shop or Starbucks, you have to have a safe space out of one of these, which is kind of a man cave at home, a meditation space. If you don't have that at home, then you got to have a third place. A third place is important, but a safe space, even if everything else in your environment is hectic, you have to have a safe space. But in your most important, which is your temple, your home environment where you live, because it sets the tone for everything, you want to make sure it is safe, clean, comfortable. Simple. Safe, clean, comfortable, and peaceful. Outside of that, what you are transporting in, your level of your transportation, that's important because that's part of your environment where you're going places, part of your environment. Getting you from point A to point B, because that determines also your safety and your level of comfort. That all this have effects on your mood. It has effects on your intellect. Intellect has to do with mental health. Mental health has to do with creativity, your thought process, your mind process, which connects to everything. Your 7 chakras. Everything is all connected. Oneness. So your mental health has to do with your creativity, your thought process, and your mind, which is your intellect. The way to connect to that, address your ability to learn, comprehend, and connect information. Expand. How do you expand your consciousness? Whatever. You expand your consciousness by reading, writing, and everyone is always going to reading, writing, researching, puzzles, memory builders, using your motor skills, finding a way to use your motor. Mind is a terrible thing to waste, and a lot of people are. Do not let your mind turn into brain rot. I've got a brain frog. Another way to connect is therapy. It is important to make a routine for therapy. Therapy also goes into emotional. Watch interviews, motivational speeches, TED Talk. Read the encyclopedia back and forth. Hobbies and skill is for your creativity. Feed your creativity. Open your thought process. Change your mindsets. Be open. Expand your consciousness. That is how you address that, and you need to build a routine for it. You build a routine for that, that's how you address your intellect and help with the stages of rebranding, rebuilding yourself. This is really a material of basically how to get your life together. Emotional health is, we're going to connect to therapy. Outside of therapy, intimacy. I say intimacy with self. Intimacy. Outside of intimacy, stress control, regulate nervous system. Journal is a big part of your emotions. Outside of that, the next thing will be healing, creative expression, address emotional fulfillments, address emotional triggers. First of all, research emotions. I'm going to list in here every emotion that we have. I know this is an entire lesson, but if you want to get your life together, this is how you do it. Write your connection to every emotion you have. Look it up on the internet or read. Check out one of my videos about the self-help books or videos surrounding just emotional. Because my next step for what I was going to do in one of my future videos is I'm going to address every phase of wellness and give you a list of books that I've read or recommend to address and attack or solve the problems regarding or how to help or expand regarding each step. People who are strictly into books and which books address it. Next, one of my favorite, the topic that most people are scared to talk about, scared to discuss, that is financial. So financial, which is abundance, wealth, rich. I like to say richness. That's what they don't want to address. How you address your financial issues, heal your relationship with money and the way you look at. First of all, being wealthy and rich has nothing to do with money. Money is currency. Currency is energy, is tied to a frequency. Therefore, it is the energy that you give it. Financial wealth, whether it's wealth or riches, whether it's money or any form of currency, it is the energy you give it and the frequency that you're on, as well as the wavelength at that time. You're going to heal your relationship with money. How to address financial. You address your triggers, your habits, and your patterns for your finances and financial issues or financial things. Then you start to address your goals. And when you address your goals, that is when you will be able to gain the level of financial success that you're looking for, or the relationship that you want to have with your finances, or to ascend, how to expand your finances. Personally, what's important to focus on when it comes to your financials is budget. People don't think you need the budget. Whether you have to get an accountant if you have a lot of money or not, budget. Save. Why don't people think they need to save? Not everything. You don't want to be a hoarder, but you have to save. You have to invest. I don't care if it's $50 into some stocks. You have to invest. You have to find a way to make your money work for you. Read The Richest Man in Babylon if you want to know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to manage your money. Organize. You need multiple accounts. You should not just keep your money in one place. That's for fools. Read. Learn. Invest for dummies. Go read it. Outside of reading and learning, go to some workshops, seminars. I'm queen of it. And it's virtual now, so no excuses. And some of them are free. And the digital products, queens, as many as ebooks as they be doing, just read. Expand your consciousness about financial abundance. And it's not just about money. Understand what currency is, understand what energy is, understand what frequency is before you address money. Address your frequency level before you address money. Outside of that, Practice healthy habits. Diversify your money. So currency, energy, frequency. Create a routine around money. Everything requires a routine. Whether you do a monthly budget, weekly budget, every 2 weeks budget, or a weekly plan of your finances. You're always going to have to create a routine of how you will handle your finances. You don't dream of labor. Everything is occupational. Even if you're not going to work a 9-to-5 job, business, or a side hustle, it is still occupational. Address what career do you desire? Create goals. What's holding you back? What's required of the career? Address where you need to be occupationally to succeed. Work on outside of occupation. Address your work-life balance. If your environment is not healthy, it don't matter what the skill or passion you do. If it's not in a healthy environment to produce the creativity, the business, the 9-to-5, the side hustle, then I'm sorry, it won't thrive. Your mental will not be in the right space to create the correct way or quality. So even if you turn your passion into a paycheck, you have to have a work-life balance, or it will make you not like your passion. It'll make you get burnt out for it. It's important to have an environment space and create a routine. When I say routine, I mean schedule. When it's a cutoff, it don't matter if it is a passion that does not deserve 100% or 80% of your time. It does not. You have to make time for other things. The last one, which ties into the same thing, social and community. Social is going to be the personal life balance. Everything is going to require a routine. You have to get on schedule. You know what it just reminded me of? I got to make an appointment to sleep with my wife. Yes. So personal life balance and give. In your social life, make times, good relationships. It's important you have to network. That's a part of life. You have to connect. That also goes with community. I said remove relationships that are unhealthy. Don't make time for joy. Create joy. Don't put joy or fun off. You can't do that. Life is about more than, it's about living as well. For community, you have to serve others. And entertainment is very important too with social. Balance. Do charity work. We don't make time for community anymore. We need it. That is the problem with everything. I fear that the individuality and individualistic lifestyle will be the death of community. And without community, this world is of no use. We have to have communion and connections in order for the world to keep going. Got to procreate and connect. Education. Educate others. To inform others. Share. As I said, give back. Teach and inspire. And did I say connect? So I'm ending this video and I just wanted to wrap this. Remember the 9 steps, but it's really 7 dimensions of wellness and how they can help you reinvent yourself, get your life together, be a better person, organize your life, keep it balanced, and understand the essential to having a healthy life all around, whether it's occupational, emotional, financial, social, spiritual, mentally. This is where you go to. This is how you directly create it. If you notice, it's one word that I use this entire time as to how to create this. Routine. Routine for all of these categories. Routine gives you balance. And let's just be clear, full-blown balance is a myth. You're not going to have full-blown balance. One area will get more attention than another area, but it is important to do what in that sense? Come back to the drawing board. And that is why you will have what? These steps and the 7 dimensions of wellness to refer back to. This video did seem kind of like teaching wise. Sorry. Tell me if y'all like this style. Thanks for coming to the channel. I really appreciate it. It is an eye for arts. And please like, share, and subscribe. And just tune in for more videos. Bye, guys.